Greetings, all you magnificent friends. Welcome to Life Mastery TV, your source for inspiration, empowerment, and fulfillment. My name is David McLeod. I am your Life Mastery coach and author of the wonderful book, A Life to Die For, and also one of the co-authors of the best-selling series, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care. This is Life Mastery TV episode number 193, and today we're going to be talking about 3 to Thrive. Now, I know that's a bit of a cryptic title, but I think it'll become clear as we progress. As you have probably observed, the physical world we live in appears to be in a state of confusion and chaos right now. And if you allow yourself to dwell on what is happening externally, you may find yourself struggling to stay grounded and centered, let alone serene. What is not so obvious is that there's a massive awakening and transformation happening underneath the surface. And it's possible to see and experience this if you observe through the eyes of love. The challenge, of course, is to keep your vibration as high as possible to avoid being dragged into the chaos. So in this week's episode of Life Mastery TV, we're going to look at some critical physical elements that can provide a foundation to help you stay as gratefully aware as possible. My guest is a coach who specializes in optimal nutrition, healthy weight loss, and leading heart math techniques to support people in transforming and mastering their own well-being. In this episode, she's going to be sharing her wisdom about 3 to Thrive: happy, healthy, and equal. These elements contribute to individual well-being in ways you might not imagine. And my guest is going to provide a lot of information about them. So please welcome my friend and colleague, Laurie Levin, to our show today.
Hey there,
Hi,
David.
Laurie. You're the fastest camera flipper honor I've ever had on my program. So thank you for being here. Welcome.
What can I say? I'm ready to talk.
Yeah, I can get that. And this is your first time on Life Mastery TV. So I'm really grateful that you're able to join us today. It's really awesome to have you here. I've had the pleasure of meeting you at Sweat Treat in person, and that was great. We've exchanged. I mean, we've been on the same kind of calls a number of times. So I've gotten to know you a little bit. I think my guests are going to love you too. So welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. I enjoy being with you a lot. The last time we were on together, some event, I just thought you did an awesome job. So I was excited to be able to participate with you today. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. So I guess what I'd like to say, I know that you have been through a pretty challenging, and some might even say harrowing journey in many ways. And I know that it's brought you to where you are today, but I guess what I'd like to know is if you could share a little bit about what your journey was like that led you to believe with such enthusiasm about the topic that we're going to be talking about today.
Oh, wow. I love that question. And not difficult to answer, actually, because it's so near and dear to my heart, all those events, because they have led me to this moment in time, obviously, and the opportunity to have worked and kind of, partnered with so many people over the years in various ways. So for me, I think it goes way back when, having lost my mom at the age of 11, she passed away of stomach cancer, created such a void in the house. I noticed so early on the disparities. There were 3 girls and 1 boy, and my dad remaining. And, it was so different. The house just felt so different without her. And of course, when you lose somebody that you love deeply like that, of course you're going to feel that. There was something else going on though, too. And I started to realize it as the years passed and I got into high school and so on. And then I was going to be a sociology major, Peace Corps kind of person, and I changed course like you, David, right? I mean, your background is amazing. I hope you'll share that. I was reading it again today. And I went into business and became a vice president and pursued that. And I loved my corporate career. But when it was time to go, it was time to go because it wasn't providing a meaningful life for me. And I wanted to get back to health for myself. And as I was successfully able to move beyond medications for the same stomach issues, probably that my mom had, um, I wanted to help other people. And it was just really quite a journey of severe stomach disorders, 5 meds a day to eat, and learning how to fuel my body both nutritionally and emotionally to heal. And the journey's never over. We can always improve our health, increase our vibration on this planet. I just wrote for the Wellness Universe because submitted my article today, my monthly blog, and it's about raising consciousness. So I'm really passionately pursuing several things at this point. And having written my book and releasing that last year, Call Me a Woman on Our Way to Equality and Peace, I feel so different because that was 15 years in the making. And there was such a release after getting it out and sharing it because the equality piece for myself and what I endured in college, the sexual assaults that occurred one after another in my life in my 20s, starting on a college campus. And then throughout my 20s, wherever I went, I'm being pulled into cars, I'm, being assaulted on the street. The book shares it in the first chapter. Not a lot of depth. It's not really the biggest part of the book. However, again, it was part of why I'm on the journey I am. So I've come to realize that until we live habits of health, replace habits of disease with habits of health, until we live habits of equality, replace habits of inequality with habits of equality, we don't see changes, within our own life. They seem to be slow, right? Because again, we're not fueling our bodies with the kinds of things in our external world as well, in ways that'll actually have us flourish and thrive. So really, that's my work today, and that's why I put it all together. And it's really fun because back in corporate, you had to keep all these things separate in your life, right? Your personal, your religious. You couldn't talk about anything. You come to corporate, it's all business. Today, I feel free. I can talk about it all, put it all together, because when we don't have equality, and the book focuses on the gender gap and the lack of equality that women have, the lack of rights women have. We don't have the same constitutional rights because we're only mentioned once in the Constitution. We only have the right to vote. That impacts every area of our life and the quality of our life and how we're paid and how we're represented and how our healthcare looks. So these things are so intricately, they're just a piece of each other. And so I really want to have a conversation, and I'm so thankful to you today to be able to speak about each of those in whatever order and however you want, and share some questions, and because I'd like to hear from people here and see what their interests are. But that's my story.
Great. Well, I want to thank you for sharing that. I know that sexual assault, that sounds really awful. I can't imagine what that's like, and I'm really sorry that you went through that. I take it, however, that you got something out of those experiences that led you to where you are today, and helped you to see things in a different way, perhaps, that you might not have seen otherwise. So, as you say, this book was 15 years in the making, maybe a lifetime in the making. And I know that's been true for me. And the other thing you mentioned about this concept of, in the corporate world, you kind of have to leave your personal self at the door, and then you come in and it's all business. And I think that's a big failing of many businesses right now, because they seem to forget people are people. They call them assets, they call them important assets, but they don't really deal with the whole person. They just deal with part of the person that is hired to do a particular job or a role or something. And I think that's a loss for everybody concerned, because all of us have so many amazing talents, way beyond just that one skill that we were hired to do. And it'd be nice if we could somehow bring those into bring our whole selves into our business environment. So I see that as a big thing. And then the third thing that you mentioned that I really resonate with is how we're all here, I think, to raise the consciousness of the planet. And part of my objective with Life Mastery TV is to just create a platform where more of that can happen on a regular basis. So thank you for everything you said, and I think all of the points that you talked about are really important. And I don't have an agenda about which order to. Oh, that's an interesting point. Why don't you try muting while I'm talking? See if that makes a difference. So now, that's what it is. The echo is coming from your speaker. When I speak, your sound, my sound coming through your speaker back through your microphone. That's where it's coming from. Okay, well, thank you for that suggestion, Sarah. Now we know. And one thing that, okay, Laurie, just so you don't have to be muting all the time, one thing you can do is reduce the volume of your speaker. As long as you can continue to hear me okay, but reduce it as low as possible, then the feedback will be much lower and hopefully the echo will go away. Anyway, now we've got that problem solved. Thank you, Sarah. I don't know why I didn't think of that. That was an obvious correction. Anyway, so with that said, yeah, I see your speaker is, oh, try unmuting and let's see if that has eliminated the echo.
I heard a little echo.
Yeah, it's still there. You have to, it appears to be related to your speaker volume. So,
okay. Interesting. I don't know why that is. I've never experienced that either.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sarah. It's fun. You just include whatever's going on, don't you? That's what it's all about, really. And the other work is, that I do with HeartMath. It's about resilience. And when we stay resilient, right, with whatever is going on, it's really a freeing place, to a space for ourselves and for those that we're, so fortunate to be around on a day-to-day basis. It's good for all of us, right? Resilience. So I apologize for that. I will have to look into that. I've never experienced it either. So we'll figure it out.
Well, first of all, I can mute you from here. So just note that your mute button is, I've set it right now while I'm talking. And I wanted to say about resilience, I think that is a wonderful, wonderful word. And we could do an entire talk about that topic. But I think that's really what we're talking about anyway, is we're talking about our ability as humans to respond to things that are happening in our world and learn from them, grow from them, expand from them, and keep being as happy, healthy, and equal as possible. I think I got them in the wrong order from your title, but that's it. So you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
I'll take it in any order you want to talk about it. I don't care. They're so important. But yes, that this our capacity to, whatever events are going on in our life, we've heard the equation E plus R equals O, event plus response equals outcome. As we practice and raise our consciousness in whatever technique you use, I've been using the HeartMath techniques for 20 years and teaching people all over the country and Canada for about 20 years now. We actually come
can you just describe briefly a little bit about what HeartMath is in case people don't know what that is?
Sure, absolutely. So HeartMath are the leading stress reduction anxiety techniques in the world today. They're scientifically based. They help us raise our consciousness, raise our vibration, all very scientifically. We are learning that the heart has what we call little brain in it. Most of the cells are neural. The heart beats 60 times stronger than anything else in the body. There's an electromagnetic current, of course, there that actually tells the head brain, makes more decisions and sends more signals to the head brain than the brain sends back to the heart. So we make a lot of decisions from the heart. We have a lot of intelligence south of our neck and we don't use it. And in a stress state, all we have access to really is a head brain. And the head brain was really only meant to categorize, analyze, compare, contrast data. And HeartMath allows us within seconds to create a different signal from heart to brain. It actually smooths out the signal and creates a very orderly signal. You'll see it on our inner balance. A lot of us have it on our phones. we actually see that signal. And within, if we shift to a state of what's called heart coherence, when that signal is very orderly and smooth, we tell the brain in seconds, I'm okay. Don't fight, flight, freeze. I got this. And our resilience, our vibration, everything rises. You actually see that energy level on the screen. It's really extraordinary data. And as you sustain this state of coherence several minutes a day, you actually rewire the brain and create different neural pathways. So we don't go to the anxious state. We don't go to the frustration, the overwhelm. We pause, we're able to pause and say, remember the equation, E plus R equals O, event plus response equals outcome. We pause, well, what outcome do I want? Choose my response. Now that's a powerful place to live from, right?
So this, I'm sorry, I just muted you for a second. I wanted to respond a little bit to what you were saying. So the heart math thing, I have heard about it, and I'm aware of the neural connections in the heart, and I think it's an amazing thing for sure. But the way you describe it, it sounds like there's a correlation between heart math and biofeedback. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but I heard that. And the second thing that you mentioned was some kind of an app on the phone. So can you maybe reiterate those two pieces and share us a little bit more about those two items?
Yes. So the first thing again, David, that you said, I know about the inner balance and the app. What was the first question? I'm so sorry. It was having to look at something on my screen. Biofeedback, beg your pardon. Yeah, heard you say that, and then something popped up on my screen here. Biofeedback, yes, the device is well beyond biofeedback. It's not just sending us back there's a signal from heart to brain called HRV, heart rate variability. It's the measure from one beat to the next. So the algorithm in that thing is very complicated. The science is complicated, but really the bottom line is simple. It's measuring, it's looking at the rate, the change from one beat to the next, and actually mapping it out. So you can actually see how orderly the signal is. When it's a disorderly signal, we see that on the screen. So yes, we do have some biofeedback, no question about it, but it's very much a teaching device. There's sounds, there's measures you see, there's the frequency, there's a power spectrum. It's a game changer. So kids, adults, anxiety reduction to almost 50%, depression down 56%, resilience soars. This is really the science of emotional intelligence. Something I got really interested in about 30 years ago when Daniel Goleman's book came out, Emotional Intelligence, EQ. Heart math.
So I noticed Kenneth had a question. He said, can you explain what you mean by the heart? I'm assuming when we're talking about heart math here, we're actually talking about the physical heart, and we're not talking about like a spiritual representation of the heart. Is that correct?
I see you muted me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do
get used to
this. It's just echoing.
So sorry. Again, everybody, thank you for bearing with us here today. We will figure that out, right? We don't like echoing. It gets a little annoying, I know. Yes, I am actually talking about the heart. The science has changed dramatically. Unfortunately, a lot of cardiovascular docs still are in the dark about that. Because it's been around for 20, 25 years, heart math close to 30 today. And they were the ones that actually discovered that as you look at the autonomic nervous system and the hormonal system, it's the merging of those two systems that actually creates the wiring in the brain. And we can rewire that, actually. I was highly reactive, angry, critical. You wouldn't know that necessarily in my corporate days because, you have to become you have to tone it down and so forth. But every once in a while, yeah, I felt certainly there were times I overreacted and wasn't appropriate. And I became a vice president. I was leading teams. And so I didn't have that skill set down. And I would have enjoyed it more. And I know people would have enjoyed working on my team more had I had that skill set. So I'm very passionate about helping other people today. So heart, yes, Kenneth, we are talking about the physical heart, but we're also bringing heart feelings, compassion, kindness, care, appreciation. Heart math figured out as soon as we shift to a feeling like that, we actually change the signal from heart to brain like that. So this is an interesting thing. I like to say, as most people want me to repeat it twice. Thoughts chase feelings much quicker than feelings chase thoughts. Thoughts chase feelings much quicker than feelings chase thoughts. So we change the feeling. Can I take you through a technique right now?
Sure, let's do it.
So heart coherence, again, is the optimal state for the human body to be in. It's where our consciousness is raised, our vibration. We can go into that kind of language, or we could talk the science, but it's all the same thing. And you actually will see it on the screen. And then you don't need to see it because your body's just getting really used to it. First thing we want to do is focus your attention on the area around the heart. We're up here all day long. This is what creates that stress state and the inability then to turn down the noise at night and sleep well. Okay. So let's focus your attention on the area around your heart. You can close your eyes, put your hand over your heart if you'd like. As you're practicing and learning, when you're out and about, obviously, you wouldn't do that, or while driving. But just go ahead, focus your attention on the area around the heart. And now let's take a breath as if it's coming in through the heart. And then back out of the heart. Another breath in through the heart. And out. Another breath in through the heart. And out. One more breath like that on your own. All your attention on the breath as it moves in and out of the heart. Now that's heart-focused breathing. It's the first two steps of every heart math technique. Right away, your autonomic nervous system is in balance. That's your sympathetic branch and your parasympathetic branch. It's like the gas in the car and the brake. In a stress state, overwhelm, frustration, right? It's telling the brain, I'm not okay, kick out cortisol, right? One thing cortisol does is add fat around the middle, but it's a hormone that lasts a long time in the body. It's like caffeine, right? And here we are all day long fueling our body, oftentimes caffeine and cortisol. So as soon as you do heart focused breathing, now you've got gas and brake to move to this, and that's what we kind of call neutral. So that's a great.
Move on. I'm just going to mute you here for a second. While I speak. Something that I think that you said that I would like to give clarification for anybody who watches the recording or who's present here. Obviously, you're not really breathing through your heart. What you're doing is you're still breathing in your lungs, but you're keeping your focus, your mental focus on your heart, and you're imagining the breath coming in and out of the heart. I think, and that's a powerful technique that you can do, by the way, for any part of your body. If you have pain in your leg, for example, you want to just focus on that area of your leg, you can just gently breathe and imagine the breath going in and out of that leg. And it's a great way to just cause the muscles to relax. It's a powerful meditation and relaxation technique. So I just wanted to share that and clarify. So I can unmute you now, so you can speak.
Yes, I love it. See how all these things merge, all this fabulous knowledge that we have and understanding for the human body. We're all one system, right? So when we bring and we start to move into this state of coherence, we actually change everything in the body. And we shift from cortisol to that wonderful anti-aging, the vitality hormone, DHEA, just in seconds, just like that. And that with the autonomic nervous system and the hormonal system now shifted to this state of heart coherence, it starts to rewire neural pathways so that then we can pause when something occurs and our brain goes, what outcome do I want? Now we add the third step, and that takes us to the state of coherence. The first two is just to get kind of in that neutral state and get the autonomic nervous system like this versus this. And we add a third step, and this is the heart feeling, Kenneth, that you were asking about, the heart and what happens. As soon as we feel, we're not visualizing or thinking about, we're feeling appreciation, care, compassion for something, someone, someplace in your life. I go to the ocean. I remember when my daughter was born. It was such an amazing experience. I mean, those kinds of things that you so loved and appreciated, peaceful, the sunshine, sitting in the warmth of the sunshine, feel it. That's the third step. So something that you care about, deeply appreciate. The you cannot Your brain cannot be occupied with appreciation and care and love and frustration at the same time. Not possible. So why not choose, right, a positive feeling? And as you do this proactively, again, it begins to rewire neural circuitry. It becomes the place, your resting place, more and more and more. I do this 10 minutes in the morning with my device, 10 minutes right before I go to sleep. Game changer. And then just throughout the day, proactively, while somebody's talking, while I'm driving, I can do that. Breathe in and out, focus on the heart, breathe in and out of the heart. And then I just say, now let's feel a renewing feeling, such as care or appreciation for someone, something, or some place in your life as you continue to breathe in and out of your heart.
Right. Well, so there's a lot of things here that I just want to address. And that is, first of all, your focus on making the choice about what you want to focus your attention on. Making the choice, that's really, really important. So if you want to focus on compassion and care and appreciation and things like that, you're obviously detracting your focus away from the other things that your ego mind wants to focus on, like all the fear-based stuff. So that's a beautiful point to remember. And we all have this choice. We all have this power. Every single one of us can choose what we think, what we feel, how we want to show up in every single moment. So it's not like the world is really, truly making you a victim. When you have that victim mentality, it's a choice you're making about what you want to think about. So as Laurie's been saying, you can choose the positive emotions, the positive, I don't like to use the word positive, emotions that are much more pleasing to your environment and more healing to your environment. And that's what we're really talking about here today, is healing, aren't we?
Absolutely. That's why we say renewing feelings. The other feelings deplete us. When you choose, and you do choose, to go to frustration, overwhelm, anger when an event occurs, that's a choice. See, the event and the response have nothing to do with each other. It's just what you've done over and over and over again, and it hardwires the brain. And in a stress state, the brain can only go to the past response, past response. As soon as you intervene in that process, focus your attention on the heart, breathe in and out of the heart, feel a renewing feeling, appreciation. Everything changes. Your perspective widens. Your choice is now, what outcome do I want, right? And so that's why when I work with people, we first look at your core values. Mine are family, passion, adventure, learning, honesty, freedom. So I'm going to choose, my natural choice then is always going to be from those core values. Stress only occurs because you are reacting differently than your core values. We wouldn't have stress if you're in alignment with your core values. Those are the things that matter most to you in life, right? So we can simply take seconds to a couple minutes, really change everything in our body, our internal world, and how our internal world feels to us, right? Is now what we project out there, now what we see out there. When we're ordered in here, starting with the heart. Remember, the baby is born, the fetus, heart starts beating very quickly. The brain is down the road. Head brain is down the road. The heart, the body was meant to, all these systems to oscillate in the same way, in the rhythm of the heart rhythm. In a stress state, nothing can. So we want to get it back to that coherent state, in the state that most of us were born in before the stuff happened. But we can consciously get back there, and now we have the techniques to actually do it and hardwire it back.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, and I love this. First of all, the word coherence, I think, is a great word, which is really about bringing two systems into simultaneous and sympathetic vibration, and that's really what we're talking about here. And it's a beautiful word as a reminder to bring the brain and the heart into coherence. And I think, we've been talking about heart math, which is kind of a very specific kind of process. But a lot of people do meditation and stuff, and meditation has a very, very similar effect. Maybe it's even I don't want to say unconscious, but maybe it's actually bringing the brain and the heart into coherence through a different mechanism. So I really like that. I just wanted to kind of shift our direction a little bit here and talk more specifically about the healthy aspect of this 3 to thrive triangle that we've been focusing on. I know you've got a lot to say about that, so why don't we start moving into that area?
Oh, sure thing. If you look at the design of something, right, you know how to treat it. You've got a certain type of car, a TV, whatever it might be, there's certain things that we need to learn about it, the certain kind of connections, the type of oil, type of gas, that particular car. Well, the human body has a design, right? Our teeth are mostly flat. Most people forget that. So we're mostly omnivores, right? So we are omnivores. So that means that we need mostly plant food. Okay. And a lot of people, they're fueling their body disproportionately with things that are not plant food, when that's really what the body needs, mostly plant food. Our intestines are over 20 feet long. It takes fiber to get food through the intestines. So people that are constipated, all digestive tract issues, things like that. That's what I learned to do right away, was to start feeding my body more plant food, and that's what healed my stomach. So plant food, that's the antioxidants, the phytochemicals, all the things that prevent cancer, that's found in plant food. It allows us to absorb our nutrients more, flush waste through the intestines. And that's really important because our immune system, most of the cells of the immune system are in the intestines. We've got to keep that clear, keep that clean. Right. We're made up of mostly water. I love that when you think about the planet's 70% water, so are we, right? About 70%. We need lots of water. The brain is almost all 80% water. So we need at least about 64 ounces per day. We want to eat every 2 to 3 hours, fuel the body. Small portion, nutrient dense, not calorie dense, but nutrient dense portions, small portions. Any questions about those things from anybody that's here with us, or you, David? Again, that design, that we're omnivores, our intestines, our teeth are flat.
Right. Well, first of all, I guess I'll say that what you're describing obviously makes perfect sense. And if we only look at the physical structure in a little bit more detail and learn about the mechanics of how everything operates, then yeah, we can be a little bit better informed about what we put into the body in order to keep it healthy. I know for myself, one of my favorite, let's say my favorite ingredient for many years of my life was alcohol. Really, really bad thing to be putting into my body. It's basically poison. And, but, we have learned to justify the drinking of alcohol through wine and beer and other things. And I took that to an extreme. So I don't know that I never actually got to the place of calling myself an alcoholic, but I think technically speaking, by all other metrics, yeah. But that was something that I put into my body, and now I realize what kind of a poison that is. And I haven't had an alcoholic drink in over 21 years, or 22 years now, I think it is. But other things we put into our body, like cigarette smoke, for example, it's not a nutritional thing, but it is a poison that we put into our body. And I mean, we really have to work hard to clear that stuff out and, to compensate for the kinds of things that we're putting in. But then on top of that, there's all our other external environmental things that are happening to us. And so, and of course, there's the way farming has been done for years, where we've kind of basically stripped away all the nutritional value out of most farmed food these days. So now we've got a huge supplement industry to kind of overcompensate for the stuff that we've shortchanged ourselves from. So it's a complex problem, but it does make a lot of sense to look at the foods you're eating and the things that you're putting in your body and use stuff that's going to improve your physical health to the maximum extent possible.
Oh, thank you, David. Yeah, I appreciate what you shared there. It's really I find it a lot more simple, though, than I think we make it. I think humans like to complicate things. I think that's a fear-based response too to, we want to numb ourselves oftentimes with food or with alcohol or whatever it might be. So we get ourselves into trouble with the alcohol or the sweets or whatever, right? It's really quite simple though. If you look at what the human body needs, the water, the sleep, we're meant to move. You know, if you exercise 3 days a week, you're going to lose muscle mass as you age. We're all going to lose muscle mass as we age. So we've really got to, be moving and exercising and picking up and putting some weight on the body. 4 days a week, we maintain muscle mass. It's at 5 days, though, that we can start to build muscle mass. So we want to have these as daily habits. These aren't things that, I'll do 1 day a week, have my big plate of fruits and vegetables and seeds and legumes and nuts and things like that.
That's right,
One
yeah.
day or 2 days, I'll have some water. The rest of it is going to be coffee and alcohol, right? We're going to get ourselves into trouble eventually. There are exceptions to that. People I know always cite the 90-year-old that did it all, right? I got it. Yeah. But, I lost my mom at 39 and she lived on a farm. Dairying and cows were all around her. And, that's saturated fat and no fiber. Again, the human body needs tons of fiber, probably 45, 50 grams of fiber a day. Most Americans are getting about 15 probably. And so hence we've got colon cancer, which really is on the rise today. So, and that's lack of sitting, also, and lack of water, that one, and lack of exercise. So really, if you keep it simple, you come from love and care and appreciation as much as you can. Nobody's perfect. I screwed up the other day. A coach on my team who I've taught heart math too, she said, gosh, did I overreact? I feel terrible. Well, there, we want to shift that right away too, because then we don't want to do it and then beat ourselves. It's kind of that cycle. So if you write in the process, take that breath in and out. Again, we want to fuel our body. Stress is most damaging in the moment, just like having the alcohol in the moment you're having it, right? It's doing its thing. Take care of it right away. You can. And now you've got that technique to do it. And then optimize your weight. I think that is really important. Reduce stress, of course, is the other one I like to mention, the habit of health. And then optimize your weight. Really, really important, because that inflammation, that level of inflammation in the body, I don't care what supplement or the exercise, whatever you're doing, when we're overweight, starting at the tune of about 20 pounds, we're actually, for women, we're creating a state of estrogen dominance, much more our risk of breast cancer. And I would think prostate would be the same cancer, really. Really escalates just with about 20 pounds. So I love to help people get 10% off at a time. 10%. Every time you reduce your weight by 10%, you reduce your risk of illness and disease by over 50. It's huge. These simple changes. Feed your body mostly plant food. You get very few calories, all the stuff you need. And I use a program to help people get the weight off quickly and safely, eating 6 meals a day, so we can get that off the body. And then you're learning the habits of health, and then you can go on and maintain that healthy weight. So I love that for people to quickly and safely get, it's a bridge. It's the best bridge I've seen out there in coaching people now over 20 years. So anyway, that's my thing. It's all about putting habits of health in and habits of equality. It's pretty simple.
Yes, and it is simple. And not only that, it doesn't have to be unpleasant. Doing healthy things doesn't mean that you have to eat food that doesn't taste good, and there is plenty of absolutely delicious ways of preparing very, very high quality food that meet all of these requirements that you've been talking about, Laurie. And like, for example, my son has just come here and he's living with me now, and he loves making smoothies. And let me tell you, he has got some of the most amazing smoothie recipes I've ever seen. So I have a smoothie in the morning and it just lights me up. I'm like, whoa, man, that is one smoothie. It's really awesome. But it's not just smoothies. I mean, you can do things with any kind of food, really. And you don't have to give up meats just because we're talking about plant-based diet. You can still have good quality meats once in a while, good chicken, fish, all these other things that can complement your plant-based diet and therefore have a complete platter of delicious food right in front of you that is going to give you lots of great benefit.
Absolutely. David, I want you to coach on my team. I love everything you said today. That's exactly it. Yeah, I am vegan. I am plant-based, 100% have been for many, many years, about a decade. I don't coach anybody to do that. It's their choice. If they want to, I can help them certainly go in that direction and do that. But if you look at the healthiest people on the planet, which I look at quite a bit, if they do have meat, it's a couple times a week, a couple times a week, not a couple times a day.
Right.
I'm really saying a couple times a week. And
Yep.
they take a small portion. I see my sister's on the call here today, and her husband does that. He takes a small, he's from Morocco, and he takes a very small portion of meat and he puts it in a big pot of vegetables, right? And it's a stewing kind of a process throughout the day. He's cooking for a couple hours for this one dish I know he makes. I've never been able to have it because I'm just like, darn it, because it's got that meat in there. But it smells great and everybody loves it.
Right.
And so he eats that way. If it's meat, it's a small portion to season the rest of it, but it's not the platter of, of meat and potato kind of thing. So absolutely right on, David.
Well, and what we're talking about is creating a healthy body. And what better way to start moving into a sense of happiness and joy and bliss and enjoyment in life by having a great healthy body? Wouldn't that be like just a natural extension?
And it's wonderful too, because now you are in integrity kind of with nature. If we were to reduce animal consumption to the extent of the healthiest people on the planet kind of eating, we wouldn't have climate change. I mean, one of the biggest factors in climate change, we'd still have a climate issue, but we would reduce it significantly. We would reduce it significantly if we ingested animal protein. No other species drinks the milk of another species. We're not meant to have dairy really within the human body. It takes a calf from 70 pounds to 700 overnight. There's a protein called casein in milk. So we've got these things that the human body really can't assimilate and handle well over time. It's going to create a disease state. So as you start learning this stuff, it's really exciting. You feel good, you sleep better, you relate better to people, you communicate better, you're able to pause, and you learn these simple techniques that really, in the design of the human body to optimize your state, you become a much healthier and happier person. And again, we raise consciousness that way throughout the planet. Everybody wins in that situation. No question about it. It's a game changer. I've always said, when each of us, I'm so thankful when somebody's working to improve their health, because it impacts all of us. Each of us gets healthier. We all do.
Right. And it's not just health, my individual health that helps to improve more, but this is something that I think people need to understand. Every step that I take to improve myself, whether it's for my physical health or just for my conscious awareness, my spirituality, whatever, every single step I take to do that is beneficial to me, absolutely. But it has also got a ripple effect. It has a massive ripple effect, in fact, that impacts not only the world, but the universe. I mean, each one of us has that much power, and it's something that most people don't think about. Most of us think about, oh, I'm just this little insignificant speck in the grand universe of the whole thing. Yeah, not so much. Sorry. You have to start thinking and understanding that you are a very important aspect of spirituality. You are a unique aspect of spirituality. There is no other being or energy form anywhere in the universe that is like you. So you have a very important role. And it's no more important than anybody else's. That's true. But it is just as important as everybody else's, which brings us back to this whole thing about equality. And I think that that's something that, that's near and dear to your heart. So let's talk a little bit about that and how we can manifest more equality in the world, starting from our spiritual nature and coming into our physical nature. Thank
you, David. Yeah, this is near and dear to my heart. And as I started out speaking, when the loss of my mom, it was in my teen years, I started to put things together. The house shifted dramatically, and I started to feel like out there in school. It was in sixth grade when she passed away, but I was quickly going into the middle school. Back then we said middle school, seventh grade. And I could see that the world out there looked now more like and felt more like my home. The traditional masculine values now were everything. It was achieve, it was, few words, it wasn't, the emotions weren't shared. That was felt, you just felt, oh, that's a sign of weakness if you go there. Because, the older folks in the house, my dad and my brother, my brother was 16, my dad was my dad. And that was kind of the water we swam in now. So with my mom gone, those loving, nurturing, caring, all those aspects of the feminine energy that we all have within us, and masculine, right? The feminine just was like this. Now we got this going on. So I left my sociology world and went into business, and it was about achieving. Yet I saw all these disparities. And I think for any of us, we want freedom. We want freedom from illness and disease, from pain, to love who we want to love, right? We want to be free to pursue what we're here to accomplish, free to pursue your passions. I see my other sister on, who's a tremendous athlete, and she didn't have the opportunities as her male counterparts did back then. We didn't have, the girls were treated very differently, the athletes. As a matter of fact, you were kind of isolated, we're kind of outcasts there, the real, athletic women of our day. Free to make our own choices and decisions, free to go where we want, when we want. Women don't have that. We live in a very unsafe country for women. This is the 10th most dangerous country in the world to be female. Imagine India, Syria, Somalia, Saudi Arabia. These are the first several on that list, but we're 10th most dangerous country in the world to be female. We've learned how to, we just have to incorporate that in our life, but our lives are very limited. I was raped my first year in college. It changed everything in terms of how safe I feel in the world. I'll hear a sound still today at 66. I can get very, very uncomfortable and unnerved by it. And it's nothing. It's the same sound I hear all the time in this building. But I still just brace. And that's cortisol. And I know that's happening inside my body. Hence the gray hair, the glasses, and now a hearing aid. The stress of living this country, I say it often, it's a traumatizing country to live in for women and people of color because of the lack of equality that we do have. So I have been working passionately for almost 50 years to see women have constitutional equality, and that's the Equal Rights Amendment. We still don't have that. And for that reason, when cases of discrimination come up on the basis of gender, we are treated terribly. We are treated very different than if it were race, national origin, and religion. So only about 47% of cases tried for gender-based discrimination do you have a prayer of winning, versus about 80% just because of the classification of gender versus race and religion. We do not have constitutional equality, and therefore women who've endured violence like myself, we're very uncomfortable to come forward because the laws do not protect us. We actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just cut you off there. I apologize. I was just going to jump in. One thing that I have noticed, and I think I have a different perspective than you, obviously, because I'm a man, but that's, I guess that's going to happen. We're going to have a different point of view here. But one thing I will say is, in my view, the entire justice system is messed up. There's so much corruption everywhere, in not just in the justice system, but in politics and everywhere else in our country. It's really hard to get a fair hearing for anybody. And I'm not trying to diminish the problems that women have. I'm saying that we have a system that is so messed up. It needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, as far as I'm concerned. And we need to put people in there who are Constitution-loving people, who actually abide by the Constitution and don't try and spin it to fulfill some political agenda. That is what I think needs to happen. And it's got to happen for all people. And I honestly believe that the American Constitution was written it does say all men are created equal. I agree with that. But I do believe that when they said all men, they were referring to all people. That was my sense when it was written, and I don't. Well, you disagree, but that's my sense. That's my perspective. So anyway, that I just wanted to say that because I think it's really important. And remember that a lot of this stuff came from. I thought I unmuted you there. I'm sorry. There we go. There we go. A lot of this came from biblical background, and so some of that has to be taken into account as well.
Absolutely. And no, women were considered property, actually, up until the early part of the 20th century. So we had no rights. If we were to seek divorce for abuse, whatever, we had to leave everything, our children, our clothes, everything. The man could, our property coming into the marriage was his, our money was his. Women were not allowed to work outside of the home other than kind of seamstress kinds of very low paying jobs. So women had virtually no rights. We were considered property. We couldn't attend school past 6th, 7th, 8th grade, even back then. In the 60s and 70s, Black women really could not vote in this country. My mother could not get a credit card without having my dad's signature on it. So women, did not have rights. That's why we had to put in the 19th Amendment, which is the right to vote. We never could vote up until the 19th Amendment, even with the 14th Amendment in place, which a lot of people think includes women, but does not. And one of our most conservative justices on the Supreme Court made that very clear, Antonin Scalia, not long ago, when he said the Constitution does not prohibit discrimination on account of sex. We are one of very few countries in the world that doesn't have a constitution that clearly says women are equal to men. There are 188 countries have it. We do not. So there's just a handful of UN nations that do not have constitutional equality. But what I talk about in my book and what I'd like to focus on are really the habits of equality. They really, all this stuff that you're talking about, David, again, I like to keep things kind of simple. It really is rooted in the identity, gender identity, and the way we define being a boy and being a girl. If we could lose that identity, my first habit of equality is one gender identity based on love, compassion, and care versus the one the guys have, which leads them not, you can't cry, be a man, toughen, all this stuff that diminishes really the spirit, the human spirit. They have to be a certain way and become almost, robotic. And it's all about domination. And in that place, it's about domination of women, sports, business. That's what's created. You can source almost every problem on the planet to the male identity and then to the female identity, which is one of subjugation. So we're both part of this. Yes, the same coin, we're the flip. And that's why it's not about bashing men. It's not about bashing women. It's about awareness, raising consciousness, right? What's it going to take for us to live? And I think it's all comes from the heart. It's compassion and kindness and love for each of us without these ideas of what she or he or they should be like. We all are different. We all have a unique gift here. Let us honor that. Let us bring our full potential to the planet, and we can take care of all the challenges we have today. And that's what I'm about today in this book. It's let's fuel our body healthy, nutrition, emotionally right, and let's then pour that out into the world. Wow, we got a game changer.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as Kenneth said, it's called spiritual identity with the understanding of only one perfect divine life. I really like that. That's a nice way of putting it. And I personally, I think the way I try to teach stuff, it's all really about each of us being a divine, magnificent spiritual being of light and love, having a temporary human experience. And the human experience may involve, a sex, a gender, various other characteristics and qualities. But ultimately, we're all part of the same energy. We're all part of the same oneness, the same divine, beautiful spark that's there. And we're just kind of manifesting in different forms. And I think you're absolutely right. We have to learn to elevate ourselves high enough so that we're in a place of unconditional love most of the time, like 99% of the time or better. That's ultimately what I think our goal should be. And if we can keep coming from that place, then we can have miracles in terms of the healing on the planet and mutual connection and all the rest of it. And we can eliminate these biases that seem to be dividing us.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I always say, if we can get to 90% of our plate and it's plant food, the 10% that isn't won't hurt us. And if 90% or more of our emotions were renewing emotions, compassion, care, regardless of what's going on. Again, my ability to manage my emotions is what correlates to success in life, health and great health. It's my ability to manage my emotions, right? Because then I'm going to eat and not overeat. I'm going to care and not overcare. I'm going to spend and not overspend, work and not overwork. Over whatever is a stress state, right? I'll come back to the care, the spend, the eat, right? In that coherent state. And if 90% of our emotions were those renewing, the 10% won't hurt us. We're human beings. We're human beings. We're going to falter. We're going to, right, say or react in a way that we're going to go, darn, I could have done that better. Darn, I could have had the salad instead of that because now I got indigestion. Got it. But if the main, if the majority, 90% or more, the 10% won't hurt you.
Right. And what you're saying here is you're kind of summarizing the whole subject that we've been talking about here. But what I'd like you to do now is actually talk about bringing all three of these aspects, the happy, the healthy, and the equal, together as a kind of a three-legged stool, a triangle, if you like. Talk about what life looks like from your perspective when we bring all of those into balance with one another.
It's a very conscious, it's a flow. You're in flow. It's a conscious state of being that moment by moment you are creating. You're the cause in your life. You're not the effect. Effect creates victimhood. I'm a victim to, the weather. My team lost. You said this. The tone was wrong. Right?
Yeah.
We want to live in this higher state of consciousness so that we can live at the cause of our life. One of the most wonderful tools I've learned recently is when triggered, pause, and the heart math work makes this so much easier. Again, I'm not perfect by any means. I'm still working this out. To pause, you're embarrassed. Somebody said something, the TV broke, whatever it is, to pause and say, what a pleasure. That's in your movie for a reason. That's your test. That's the only opportunity you have to overcome something that holds you back in some way. Those are all those things that have us be uncomfortable are the test. The obstacle is the way, right? And when we can create that level of coherence, our resilience allows us to pause. What a pleasure. Feel the pain. You want to feel that pain. You don't want to numb it with a drug or with coffee or a cigarette, whatever, because there's no growth. If we scream and yell, if we shut down and suppress it, we want to feel it. And it will go in about 90 seconds. That's all it takes to run through the body is one of those emotions. And I'll tell you, on the other side of that, your heart's intelligence, it's amazing what you'll learn. It is amazing what will open up for you in those seconds.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there's so much wisdom here in what you're saying, and I just really want to thank you for everything you've brought. I mean, we're getting close to our closing time here, and but before I close out, I just wanted to ask you if there's any final words you'd like to share with the people who are here right now, or with the people who are going to get this on the recording.
Well, I think, thank you, David. First of all, thanks again. I always enjoy being with you, and you and I, we might have differences here and there. Heck, that's the world, right? Isn't it fun to listen and to share, because we can learn from one another, no matter what your beliefs are, religion, politics, whatever it is, part of the world you come from in your history and so forth. I think given the way the state of the world today, we're kind of feeling like we're coming out of this pandemic, and gosh darn it, now we got a war. And I think what there is to learn, my heart, I just feel it because I'm so, I've done a fair amount of heart math already today with a client and my own work, but I just go, wow, we did learn something there, did we? What didn't we learn? That we would go through this global crisis together where we're suffering and we're dying from a pandemic, and then we'd go into a war. How can that be? You would think we would have learned. I mean, it's just really however, look at us individually. You keep reacting the same way. You keep marrying the same, whatever. You keep dating. That's where we are. So it isn't like, oh, it's out there. In here. It's in here. As each of us really works day in and day out, we will manifest this beautiful world that is there. This is an illusion, this world that we're living in right now, where we're fenced in by all these particulars. I've been working to live outside of this world myself at a level of consciousness where I've really ramped up my studies here. I'm doing some coursework and so forth that I love, that works. It just goes hand in hand with the heart math work to really kind of, I want to stay, like orbiting the planet here, but stay at that level of consciousness so I don't look at what's going on with judgment and pain and anguish. I bring heart and love to it and into my day so that I don't add more, flames to the fire. So ignition to the, whatever it is, gas to the fire, whatever the expression is. Anyway, let's be the solution, right? Let's be the change we want to see in the world. I guess it all comes down to that. Thank you, David. Really appreciate you and everybody that's here today and everybody that'll be listening to the recording. It means a lot to me. And I think we're all really wanting the same thing, right? Health, happiness, love, equality, freedom. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Laurie. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I've learned a lot here today. I hope everybody who was on the live stream also learned a lot. I want to thank everyone for being here and for watching this program, and I'd like to remind you that you can watch the recordings of this and every other show that I do on my website at lifemasterytv.com, life-mastery-tv.com. I really hope you enjoyed this presentation. When you receive an email in the next day or next couple of hours or whatever, please come back and leave us a review or something and just let us know that you enjoyed the show. And finally, I just want to get everybody to remember to practice my life mastery mantra. Very, very simple. It goes like this. I gratefully forgive the imperfect being I have been in the past. I gratefully accept the magnificent being I am right now. I gratefully welcome the evolved being I am becoming in each new moment. Well, thank you all. And until we meet again, this is David McLeod, your Life Mastery Coach, wishing you love, light, and blessings on your continuing journey. Bye-bye for now. We'll see you next time on Life Mastery TV.